ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm looking at a French writer who is a classic French writer, but he's not widely read in English. It's not to say that he's totally unheard of, but there are writers who are much better known. So the writer we're looking at today is Alfred Jarry. And I'll give you a brief rundown on who he is once we get started. But the issue that I have is that everything that I read of Jarry is not available to my knowledge in English, or at least not in a large publication. And so we're really just going to focus on 2 or 3 different things. Alright, so for those of you who are still interested, I'm Mark, and this is Several Books. So normally what I like to do is to kind of show off the books that we're reading, and today I'm just going to show you the bookshelf, me getting the books, because I can't think of anything else for valuable B-roll. But as you can see, I really just read two tomes. The first tome I read all of except for the narrative notes, or the notes on the work, which comes out to a few hundred pages actually. These Bibliothèque de la Pléiade books really are very scholarly editions, in addition to being somewhat expensive and just super nice books. They're definitely the nicest quality tomes of literature that I own. I have, as you've seen, quite a few of them. Not a huge amount, but I've got a few. The first one I read all of. The second one contains poetry, some theater, 3 short novels, and I've read all of that. And then it also contains about 200 pages of newspaper writing or journal writing. And I read about 20 of them and realized, Alfred Jarry isn't known as a theater critic exactly. The 20 pages that I read were not proposing radically new things to the theater, and aside from being lively written, there wasn't much really to say about them. So I've recently gotten copies of Paul Valéry's writing, and if I'm going to read French essays, I'm probably more interested in reading Valéry than Jarry for the essay quality. So, again, if we're looking at this, as you can see, each one of those red lines is a work of literature. So in the first document, or the first book, we've got quite a few of them. And then there are definitely still some over here. And these aren't all available in English to my knowledge. If they are, they're not widely read. I think the only widely read thing by Jarry is Ubu. And Ubu is sort of like, I don't actually know totally how to describe Ubu. I think that it's a great play to read right now because the world over, our politicians are going crazy. It doesn't matter who your party is. You're pretty much guaranteed to have a crazy person at the top of the helm. And Ubu is sort of this play that Père Ubu, who is based on a teacher that I read plays about, that Jarry wrote when he was young, because I read all these. He's kind of self-important. And it's funny because basically what Ubu is trying to do in Ubu is become le roi de Pologne, je crois. He's trying to become the king of Poland, and he does eventually. And there are 3 plays in the Ubu trilogy. It's a trilogy, of course. There are 3. There's or King Ubu, Ubu Unchained, and Ubu the Cuckold. And they kind of show Ubu's rise and fall to power. And the Cuckold one is the shortest. I don't really have anything to say about it except for that it humanizes Ubu again after he's, been king and been imprisoned. But the big thing about Ubu, who becomes king of Poland, is that he decides to basically just kill everyone. So it's essentially an off with their heads type situation. Just, oh, why are you important to the royalty? Oh, well, that's not important enough for me. Je masquerade tout le monde, and he just goes ahead and off with their heads, everybody, and it's not as funny as I expected, to be completely honest, but it's definitely funny. I did laugh out loud while reading Ubu Hua. For me, a book that causes me to laugh out loud, it's not very common. It's definitely not uncommon. I would say probably the 2 funniest books I've read in terms of getting me to laugh out loud. Let's say 3. Don Quixote is always going to be up there. White Noise by Don DeLillo. And finally, what is it? Aunt Julia and the Scriptwriter by Mario Vargas Llosa have all had me on the floor, if you're wondering about funny books. But Ubu Hua is definitely funny. I'm sure that there are a lot of gags that can be added during performances also. And historically, it's a very important play. There were riots associated with the play. The only other writer I know who caused riots by writing a play is Samuel Beckett. And so, I don't know if I'd say that all of Jarry's pièces de théâtre sont les mêmes. They're not quite the same, but they're all pretty good. And I don't know what else to say about Ubu Hua. I feel a bit embarrassed talking about it because that Better Than Food guy has done a video on Ubu Hua like several years back, and his videos are all better than what I can even try to do. It's entertaining, and he's got a good link in the video. But I'm not going to say more about that. Just in general, we're talking about Ubu Hua. I'd say it's a very high quality play, and I'd recommend it to everybody. The other things that I can talk about from this first book that are available in English are gestures and opinions of Dr. Fosterroll, pataphysician. And Jarry created a fake philosophical system called pataphysics. And that's not his first pataphysics book. It's mentioned in Ubu Hua and also in some of his other poetry and such that he was writing when he was younger. But basically, Jests and Opinions is a collection of essays with some very surrealistic imagery and some interesting kind of thought-provoking content. But it's all these different essays about kind of the science of what happens after the science of philosophy. So it comes down to that the essays are mostly just sort of narrative essays and reflections on some surrealist imagery. But the book is available in English. For the French, I believe it's a bit more important. I can see it being important because the big thing that I get out of Jarry is knowledge of the Oulipo. And if you're somebody who likes Georges Perec or Raymond Queneau, Italo Calvino, Harry Matthews, all these different great Oulipan writers, Jarry is certainly a first place to check for inspiration. But what it ultimately came down to was that the opinions of Dr. Fausterol, pataphysician, were a bit worse than I had hoped. I thought it was a decent book, but it's not really quite as good as a thing to hold you all together. Now, there's only really one other book that I think I've seen in English. And in my opinion, this is probably his best work aside from Ubu Ha, specifically the first part of the trilogy. And this specific book is translated as the Supermale or the Superman, and it's called Le Surmal in French. And essentially, the Surmal is a early science fiction work, and it's very, very much like a piece of Aleppo writing. And what the plot of the book is that a scientist of sorts creates a fake food called perpetual motion food. And he gives it to these elite athletes, and they race a train. And they're going something like 300 miles an hour while they're biking. So one guy dies. They're all representative of different races, and it's not, by contemporary terms, a politically correct novel. But after the race, the main character goes out and participates in a sexual marathon of sorts. There's a coming together, something like 82 times. I don't really know what else to say about that. It's a science fiction book about how to become the greatest man. And there's a race against the physical train, sort of like a John Henry style narrative, hammering the steel, and then this sexual conquest. Now, of course, other stuff is happening in the book. It's a bit moving in a certain fashion, and the main crux of the book is the first piece of dialogue. The main character says that he doesn't think that love is anything except an action. And so, of course, the entire book proceeds to undermine that claim and be very critical of the idea that when people are talking about love, what they're really talking about is making love. I would say that book's a 5 out of 5 stars. So, yeah, are there anything else that we can talk about here? I don't really think so. As I said, Jarry is well known in France, and it's not hard to find reference to him if you're looking through, book websites and you go searching for classic theater. Wu Hua is a very significant book. Jarry had a very interesting life. He was incredibly short. He was like 5'3", and I believe in a certain sense very feminine. In another sense, I don't know. What I'm saying is that I think he might have been gay, I'm not sure, or bisexual. I don't think he was gay, but I think he might have been bisexual. When he was very young, he worked with Nobel Prize winning philosopher Henry Bergson, I believe, and was tutored by Bergson. He died very young. Jarry died when he was about 36, I think. But I would basically say that all of Alfred Jarry is it's worth reading. So I know I probably didn't do a great job of talking to everybody through this. What I would say about Jarry too and his influence on surrealism is that there's a part from De Sable Memorial. If I remember correctly, he compares somebody who lies all the time, their mouth, to the anus of a dog, which is a very surreal kind of image, very unusual, but also entirely fitting. If somebody's lying all the time, of course, what better way to say it than to say they're literally, spewing spewing le merde. But yeah, Alfred Jarry, Ubu Hua, and the Ubu trilogy are all worth reading. Jests and Opinions of Dr. Falsterol, Pataphysician, is available in English, I know, and it's also worth reading. You know, give it a once over. It's going to be a little unusual. It's not quite a novel, but it has a certain feel to it that might be valuable. And the Superman are all things that I think could be worth your time. So those are the only things I think that are really available in English. They are probably his best. But yeah, that's it. Alright guys. I know this video was short, despite that I was reading literally about 3,000 pages of Jarry over the past couple weeks. But this is about all I can say about him. He is worth your time. It's just not everything is available in English. Alright, thanks. Bye-bye.